Hey, I'm Adam Tracy. So, a question that I get a lot is with respect to paying commissions for finders or brokers in transactions. And the general rule as it relates to securities transactions is that you cannot, under Section 15 of the Act, you cannot pay a commission to a unregistered unaffiliated broker. So basically, you have to engage or be engaged by a registered licensed financial advisor who's affiliated with a FINRA broker dealer in order to pay commission. You can pay commission to that individual. There's this myth that there's this exception for finder's fees, right? And it's a myth because, well, one, it's not true, but two, it doesn't comport with any of the law or the no action letters that have previously come down the pipe. And there used to be, years ago, there was something called the Paul Anka no action letter that people would rely on to act as these finders. And the best way to kind of describe it is like introducers to sources of financing. And that unequivocally is not legal, right? The only way to do it legally is two things. One, pursuant to a written agreement, is to decouple the success of a party investing with the efforts of that individual. Meaning, like, I get paid no matter what happens. Like, I introduce you to party A doesn't decide to invest, but I'm still compensated, right? Irrespective of whether the party that I brought to the table invested. Like, that's the number one thing that you absolutely have to do. And two, that party that is engaged pursuant to this agreement, presumably unlicensed party that's engaged pursuant to this agreement and getting paid for introductions, no matter what happens, can't be actively involved in the sale process. So soliciting investors, advising on structuring the investments, participating in deal negotiations, things like that are completely verboten. Cannot do that. You absolutely cannot do that, no matter what. So what you're really limited to is, and it's tough because it takes this trust almost, right? When you come across a finder or a broker who's unlicensed, that the people that they introduce to you, will eventually invest, right? And that you're comfortable paying this individual for those introductions and nothing more, right? Nothing more. Like, literally, I'm introducing you to party A and you take it from there, right? Now, what's interesting when you bring it into the STO, ICO world is that, obviously the rules apply with respect to a security token offering because you're selling securities, right? And that triggers Section 15. And if you think you can get away with it or get around it, know that, like, on a Form D or like in a Reg A or Reg S, you actually have to identify, you don't have to identify the parties, but you have to identify the fact that you've paid commissions to certain people. And the failure or the paying of commissions can actually lead to rescission of that investment. So it's something very, the repercussions can be great, and it's a hot button item. But with the ICO, right, or IEO, where you're not dealing with a security, and this goes back to sort of the seminal question that, like, I talked about here ad nauseum, but when you have that question becomes, I'm not selling a security. Can I pay a finder's fee? Well, you can. I would say that you can, because there's no law that says I can't pay you to broker the sale of my car or of a piece of artwork that I have, right? Something that's unlicensed. And so, in the eyes of the law, cryptocurrency that's not a security, right, like Bitcoin, for instance, is really just property, right? And you can pay finder's fees, commissions, whatever on the sale of property, provided it's not a regulated activity like real estate or something like that. But you can pay those those finder's fees without repercussions. So in the context of an IEO, or even the block sales of, like an OTC trading where you're going through the daisy chain of brokers that you always go through, paying those commissions in that instance is probably almost undoubtedly legal. It's just where you get into that securities realm that you run across Section 15. You have to have those very restrictive written contracts. And to that end, I'll put one of these contracts up on my website, adamtracy.io. So feel free to pick at it, use it if you need to, but it'll be as compliant as you can be with Section 15. And if you have any questions, obviously hit me up, Adam at adamtracy.io, and I'll talk to you soon.